it feels relevant to recent events. So a few months ago, Deleted told us about a tiny little movie he saw called New Life, and he didn't want to talk too much about the details of the story so that you could just go into it as blind as possible. I'm going to kind of do the same thing in that I'm not going to give away too much of the plot, but I did want to talk a little bit about it. I finished this not long ago. I'll say right off the bat that I do appreciate the originality of it. And by originality of it these days, what I'm meaning is it's not a sequel, it's not a remake, not that I know of. I don't know that it's based on any previous movie or anything like that. I like also that it told its story in a pretty short amount of time. It's only like, I think it's less than an hour and a half, and it's an hour and 20 something minutes maybe. That does end up being a tiny bit of a detriment, because one of the cons that I have to this is that the way it wrapped up, the way it ended, felt quite abrupt, and it felt a bit anticlimactic as well. That was a bit of an issue for me. Not enough that I didn't want to talk about this a little bit with you guys, but I didn't quite feel as satisfied with this story as I think Deleted Scenes did. Though there is a bit going for it, I don't feel like it kind of carried that to the completion or the feeling of completion or fulfillment that I was hoping that it would give me when I went into this. Something that is a big pro to this film is that from the very opening shot, it grabs you right away. There was a girl walking down the street. She's panicked. She's got blood all over her face, and you have no idea what the hell is going on. And you see flashes of images, maybe in that scene or a little bit later. I think maybe throughout as the story's going, you see flashes of images and you have no idea what it means. Of course, it is all pieced together, so by the end, you do understand completely what's going on, but it has a very strong hook in the very beginning. And also knowing that it's not too long is helpful when you head into it, because you know, okay, well, we hit the ground running and this movie's not very long, so we're going to get to where we need to go pretty quickly. The thing is, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes, maybe around 35 minutes before you realize that there's more going on to what's happening with this girl that it shows in the opening scene. She's on the run. And it's not until this movie is more than a third of the way through that you realize there's something quite odd about why she's on the run. And there has been someone that is tasked with going after her, tracking her down. And as the story goes on, you are given information bit by bit to where the picture becomes more clear. And something that I liked about the person that was sent to track her down, it's a woman, she's sent to track her down. Something that I liked about her is that, well, for purposes of this story, she would be the antagonist, because she is the one that is in opposition to the protagonist of the story, which is this girl on the run. Even though she is an antagonist, or bad guy, you know, antagonist isn't always a bad guy. It's just someone who's on the opposite end of things for the protagonist. She was a nuanced character. She wasn't a cookie cutter sort of baddie or anything like that. In fact, she wasn't a baddie at all. And that's what made the dynamic with these two characters pretty interesting. This was a fairly quick watch for me. I think I finished it in about 2 or 3 sittings. Well, okay, I don't always sit all the way through a movie. Sometimes I do take a bit to watch it. And I would usually start watching it late at night, shortly before I'm ready to go to bed. And then some nights I would avoid watching it because I had gotten to a point in the story that I knew if I continued watching it, it might keep me a bit too hyped up. Whatever. I took about 2 to 3 days to finish this film. And the reason I mentioned at the very beginning about how this felt relevant, that will become clear to you as the story progresses. In addition to the con that I mentioned at the very beginning about how I wasn't as fulfilled with this movie as I was hoping to, I had an issue with the woman that was chosen to go after the girl that's on the run, they do give us this narrative about her and why she was chosen to go on this mission. However, once the situation becomes super clear, it seemed a bit of a stretch that they would have tasked this woman with such a responsibility. They do try to explain it, like I mentioned, but that explanation didn't feel sufficient enough given the situation. That's one of the bigger cons I had with this story. However, if you can look past that and just go with the little tiny story that's being told here in about 80 minutes worth of time and overlook that sort of thing, you can probably go with that narrative just fine. But that's really one of the main cons I had with it. It's not necessarily enough to make me regret having taken the time to watch it, but not feeling as satisfied with how this movie wraps up does leave me a little bit disappointed, because I guess I had an idea about it that was a bit different from what it ended up being as far as how much I would like this film. It's okay. I think I would probably rate it a 3 out of 5 or a 3.25. So what, a 6 or 6.5. It was pretty sobering to think about the subject matter that was happening in here, and kind of scary. Also, sobering, petrifying as well. You'll know what I mean when you see it, especially the relevant part to recent events. Okay, I think that's about all there is left for me to say about New Life. If you guys have seen it, I am curious to know if you had similar feelings of slight dissatisfaction with how things wrapped up, or if you came away with it enjoying it just as much as Deleted did. He sang this movie's praises multiple times, so I know he really likes it, and that was definitely why I was interested to see it. That's it for this one, you guys. Later.